So here's my lesson, my 3-day lesson on friendship. On day 1, I have a small presentation here that I have the link to, and basically it was discussion. We discussed all of these questions here, and then had brainstorming activity where we just kind of discussed ways to initiate friendships as well as how to be a good friend. Then I had my own list of qualities that I wanted them to write it down in their notes, so they wrote those down, and then they could choose one of these 5 writing prompts, and they just had to answer all the questions within each prompt, and then they turned that in if they finished it in class. Otherwise, they just turned it in at the end of the class, kind of depending on how long the discussion went. Then for day 2, they were creating these wanted ads. I'll click on this in 1 second, but what they're doing is they're creating a wanted ad, and they basically have 15-ish minutes to do this in a group. So I'm going to click on here so we can see in a little more detail what this looks like. So how I shared this document here with them is using Google Classroom, since my 9th graders already are set up with that. And so I set it up so that they could all edit it. As you can see down here, they added their own URLs, so I wanted them to be able to add the document. So what they're doing is they're using TAC. Initially the lesson plan called for them to just make pieces of paper posters, but I decided I wanted to change it up and use TAC because then you don't have the concerns about if anyone can draw and if people have good handwriting, and one person usually ends up doing the whole thing if they're the only one who has decent handwriting. So I went with TAC, and it still kind of looks like a poster, so that's why I thought it was really great, as well as the students don't need to create an account to create a TAC, and after a certain amount of time their TAC will be deleted because they didn't create an account. Also, there's a great feature with TAC where they can comment on the bottom using Stream, so I'll show you that when we get there. But then I just have pictures here for them to help them find where they need to copy the URL and paste it below. So they have them all pasted here. I have 2 different class periods, so I just did it all in one document. So I'm just going to click on one of the groups here so you can kind of see what they look like. So you can see they changed the background and they changed the font, and they have the picture here and the qualities that they wanted, and then they had a little video of a song about friends, and then here's the stream I was talking about. So what they're supposed to do after they're done presenting is they go back and find a different table, 2 different table groups, and they will click on them and comment on their stream at the bottom. So I'll just kind of show you here. Etc. And then you can just post it, and then it's right there. So they do that for 2 different groups using that same document so that they can find each other's URLs. And then once they're done with that, what we do is we come back to a whole class discussion about why having friends is an important thing, like why does that matter that we have friends, as well as some skills that are needed to be friends. So I had them kind of help me come up with a list, but then I had my own that I wanted them to write down. Here in the bolded text is what they had to write down. And then for day 3, I'm trying to get them to transition into thinking about relationships in terms of boyfriend-girlfriends, and how that's similar but different from having friendships, because that's where we're going after we get done with this. So I start off class by kind of getting them to think about that transition, and then for applying friendship skills, I checked out 3 iPads from the iPad cart, and the other day how I did the TAC was that I had them check out Chromebooks, or I checked out Chromebooks, 5 different Chromebooks for each table group. So it was about 4 to 1, and that's how they did that. So that way we could still stay in the classroom and have that more collaborative environment than all being stuck at our own computers. So using the iPads, what they did is I split them into 3 groups, and they each had a script. So I'll click on this one so you can kind of see what that looks like. So initially they just go through and they read through the whole thing. And then using the audio recording app on their iPad, they record their discussion about these questions. So one person would say, if you were Susanna, what would you do? And then they would record their discussion. And then they would go to the next question. Then once they're done with their discussion, they choose 3 people from their group, to 1 person to be the narrator and 2 other people to be the other people within the story, and they video record it. And they should do a pretty decent job since they'll be sharing this with the whole class. So I'm expecting like props and actually acting this out. So go back here so you can kind of see I give them a 10-15 minutes to do this, And then what they do is they will share that using the Apple TV that I have in my classroom. So they'll just connect to that, and then they'll project their video recording on the board as well as their audio recording of their discussion. We can plug that into a speaker if need be, so that the whole class can see it. And then after they've presented both their video and their audio recording, the larger group will have time to comment and share any additional thoughts that they have. And the reason I went this route instead of just having them do this is because then you can actually hear what their actual discussion was, and you can hear how it played out in their minds instead of just having them kind of recall what they said. You really get to hear their discussion, and having them do video recordings is just a fun way to kind of have them share what they did, and really get you could actually share that further. I could post that on my class website so that other people could see what we're doing, or there's a lot of different things I could do to further that, but I just thought it was a fun way to just kind of enhance the activity a little bit just from plain recording. So that is my lesson. Thank you.